There we go.
There it is. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, Hayley. We got
Hello.
Hayley on the here. We got we got William and Bill and Jughead here. I was thinking during that video, Hayley, that and this isn't ironic. I love one-note solos. That piano thing is so killer to me. I used to try to sneak those into Weasel songs a lot in the early days too. There's something because I heard it first, I think, from Tom Petty does that quite a bit and on some of his songs. So I really appreciated hearing that on that.
Oh, I'm glad. I mean, I thought it was a really corny idea, and we were in the studio, and there was this really, I think every studio just has like one piano that has seen better days that's like 40 years old and out of tune. And the guy who was engineering us, Bart Thurber, was like, you know what? I think we need to do a piano jab. And the dust, flies off this piano as he opens it. And he's like, it'll be really cool. It'll be really cool. And I'm thinking like, man, I don't know about this. But yeah, you're right. It's like, it's so classic and it's so dumb. So wonderfully dumb. And, Iggy Pop did it. Yeah. And, one note solos too. Why not? On the guitar.
Yeah. Well, there's a band. I wouldn't call them good, but he's a friend of mine, and I really admired him doing it. But I think it was called The Vents was his band. But all his songs were one chord through the whole song. It was just every song was just a different chord that they just played on the guitar, and the whole band just did the bass and the guitar did the same chord. I was like, oh, okay.
That actually sounds difficult to me. It sounds too easy that it would be difficult to do that.
Yeah, my next challenge for Even in Blackouts was I wanted to write a song that never returned to the same chord. Like once you played it, you never went back to it.
Ooh, that's rough. Why do you do that to yourself? Nobody even cares.
So there's some music talk right at the top for the middle section there. Yeah. Bill, how's the store going? Is it is your online? He's trying to get all this stuff online. He doesn't prefer the online record store, but he's kind of being forced to nowadays. How's that webpage going?
So I cheated and I went and sprung the money, had another company, Broad Time, make one. So they do like the Sub Pop page and Plan 9 in that. So all the web pages all look the same. We've tried switching some of the content going across as it, per se. I mean, honestly, the online sales suck anyways. There's so much that you can push the album, but people miss that connection. I mean, you go into a store and you find something and you want to share it to the world, and there's a lot of times you're just buying, whatever online, and it's just not. It's kind of missing that experience of going out and finding it and going, fuck yeah, I got this now. So they're saying we can do curbside pickup now. And yeah, we'll see how that works on there.
Yeah.
But
curbside pickup, so just a customer could call and ask for something and you just put it out on the curb?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. It's kind of like, so you can bring it to their car. We have delivered to a couple of customers just to make it a little bit more convenient. You think about the post office handling things and you don't know, well, we have a friend that works for the post office. So, people get sick everywhere. So if I'm thinking if I live in Crystal Lake and my neighbor's ordering something, I'm just going to bring it home and, text them and say, hey, it's on the porch if you want it.
Yeah.
There. You don't want to invade in somebody's privacy, but you're also going, well, if I send this from Chicago, it's got to go to Pennsylvania, and that's going to take 12 days media mail, and 17 days later you'll get your record, or just take it home with you, and try to simplify the process, keep people happy.
Hayley, we talk a lot about records here, and it seems it's back it's back, which I'm happy to actually print vinyl. And you guys print vinyl, right? Because I think I have one, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. Every time we do it, we're like, this was really expensive. Why would anyone do this? And then, you know, you get excited to do it again. And, you know, just like you said, Bill, it's like, it sounds so cliche, but it's the magic, you know, the magic of, you know, a beautiful record. Especially our records are always crazy colors. You know, obviously I love that aesthetic quality of the record as well. I'm not a huge record collector. Dr. Cain is. My records are all thrashed and crazy looking, and you know, I don't even half the time don't put the little inner sleeve back in, and it drives them nuts.
You know, so it's
so that's one of the record covers right there. That's the new one right there, Hayley. I'm just learned how to do that, so I put that up for you.
Well done, John. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Who drew that?
You know, a guy in Portland. It's very intense, right? This guy in Portland named Martin Head just does this really crazy, weird. It looks like almost Eastern European, like scary, like evil god, you know, kind of stoner art. And so we want a mermaid. She's got to have boobs. She has to look scary. She can't look too pretty. And just do whatever you can do. And he did. And the first one was like too ugly. And we were like, okay. We're like, can you just make her a little prettier? And he was like, oh, that's the worst. You know, it's like when you hire someone and you ask for what you want and then they give it to you and you're like, no. So, you know, we found this balance, but I love it. She's got her little boobs and she's got her scary, you know, lobster claws. And yeah, Martin Head out in Portland, if anybody needs to get some weird stoner art, blacklight poster art.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. You should have it put on the Velvet.
You know who said that was Nate Demmel in the Dummy Room, actually, was the first one to say that. Wasted opportunity. You're so good. You know, when's the last time you guys actually saw like a really rad blacklight poster that was new? I'm curious. Like, have you guys seen one anywhere?
Yes. God, they played for your birthday. Now I'm drawing a blank.
Wow. Probably a metal.
I'll go get it. Hold on. I'll share it.
Okay.
Because I know where that's at.
It must be quite expensive, but that would be pretty fun.
I have no idea. I'm probably gonna look it up online after this to see.
Hot Lips Messiah.
Yes, Hot Lips Messiah.
Is that like a psych rock band or something? Is that like your favorite band, William?
I wouldn't say my favorite, but they're good.
Okay.
What kind of band are they, William?
They are more of like, I'm not too sure.
Dude, she was awesome.
It's a female-fronted band.
All right, so can we see that?
Ooh.
Oh yeah, that's pretty colorful.
So the deal was you bought their album and you got a poster.
Fuzzy.
It's huge.
Yeah, that is big.
Wow. That's so cool.
So
wow.
I think I bought 20 records from the band, and I got 20 posters, and I think I got like 4 posters left.
Wow.
So if you want one at your house, I'll send you one.
You are a gentleman.
And he's a man of his word too, Hayley. So
he sent you a package, didn't he, of a bunch of cool stuff?
Yeah, he sent me a shit ton. They say in the business.
In there. Actually, Jay finally got his participation award too from the other day with B-Face.
Yeah. Jay Prozac did a trivia against me of was that the one? Yeah, of actual Weasel. No, it was B-Face trivia. Yeah.
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 About B-Face, and then Jay Prozac kicked all of our asses.
It pisses me off when somebody has like an encyclopedic knowledge or just like a really good memory. I feel like I'm like a dog and I just reset every year. My brain completely resets and I have to really jog the memory. It's hard. I don't know if I got dropped on my head when I was a baby or just drank too much, but I like that.
Or maybe you just live in the present, you know?
I've been trying to lately. I don't know how you guys are doing, but I have moments where I'm like intensely in the moment, like, wow, it's so beautiful outside and there's birds and everything's okay and we're alive. And then suddenly I just go straight into, what if everybody I love is just, you know, horribly affected by this? And it's this kind of up and down thing, but I'm trying to live in the moment as much as I can.
Yeah. Yeah. To be honest, I have been thinking a lot about you and worrying about you, because I know you're one of those people that likes to plan a lot, and you had a lot of stuff planned, and me too. And it's all been uprooted. We have no idea about, you know, Raduno Festival and all of that shit going down. So I'm sorry all this is happening, but
yeah.
So trying to get by day there, Hayley?
Yeah. I kind of feel like, from what you just said, this is so great, because I think a lot of people are like us that are kind of type A in that way of like planning things. Maybe type A isn't the right word, but just maniacal about wanting to do things, like whether it's a fun thing, creative thing, whatever, and planning. I think what this has allowed me to do is to be like, okay, I'm a musician, I'm an artist, I get to be in my house and make art. Everything else is like a cherry on top at this point. And like, what things am I striving for that maybe are just like, they're fun, but they're not necessary, you know, like touring even. Like it's wonderful to tour, and it's heartbreaking not to be able to. But I'm trying to be like, okay, well, I am at home, I have my guitar, I have my my husband here with me, I have my dogs, and like, I don't know if you feel like you're kind of getting a little bit more in touch with that side of yourself, because I know what you mean. For me, I do plan a lot. And so it's been like allowing myself to maybe not be so like wired in that way.
Yeah, mine was more, I had this big idea. I was in Japan for another year, so like almost 6 years almost in a row. And I had this big plan to get back to playing music and into the theater companies, the 3 theater companies I belong to. So that I was all uprooted. But then again, you start having a pity party, and then my brain just says, oh, everyone's dealing with this. I'm not any different. So, you know, the whole world is on pause, and we still have to continue to live in that pause, you know?
Yeah. This is such a
and there's nothing I can do about it. But the great thing about creative people is we find things to do like this, and all of my artist friends are doing something online, you know.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, you got to. It's important. If not now, when? I mean, we have no excuse now. It's like, you didn't have a book in yet? Well, go write that book. That book's waiting. Yeah. I remember you said your book took you like 5 years, and I remember you said 5 years for your book, right? Weasels in a Box.
That one was 7 years, I think, if I'm not mistaken. 5 to 7. Yeah, I can't remember. Yeah.
Well, I remember when you said that, and I was like, oh man, no way. And then I started writing my book when I turned 30. That was almost 3 years ago. And I'm just like, I don't know, when is that? 20 years from now, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, you might find that you start your second one, and that one actually beats your first one to being completed. That's what happened to me. So
I'm sure there's a lot of people out there in quarantine that are like, wow, I really should start working on that dissertation right now. Or, you know, there's just no way to like procrastinate anymore. So,
well, what I think what maybe some of us artists were set up for too is that you realize, or you didn't have to realize that part of creativity is sitting around going, I have nothing to do. I'm not doing anything. This is stupid. So you don't get as paranoid about it, because you know that's part of the process. And then all of a sudden you start doing something, and it's, to me, that's your brain's trying to work through that, you know, boredom point. Yeah, creativity seems to work like that. It needs to be forced to come out sometimes, you know.
If only they would tell you that, like when you're a kid, they're like, you know, oh, you're a weirdo, you're an artist. Just so you know, there's this thing called resistance. It's going to make you want to kill everybody. It's going to make you want to eat your feelings or whatever. You know, it might make you suicidal. You know, some artists have so much resistance to like their own, I hate to say genius, that's a terrible, you know what I mean? They have resistance to what's inside of them. And they're like, oh, well, it has to be perfect. And I know exactly what you mean. It's like, there's so much just like doing the dishes. Like, I could write that song, but you know, I got to do this chore, you know, I don't have time to sit down and actually do the real work. So.
William, do you find yourself practicing more on guitar with all this time on your hands?
I don't think that's for William. Good, because I was gonna say I never.
I could bring it back to you, but yeah.
William,
I practice But with this much time, yes, I do feel like I do get more time to practice guitar.
How much time do you think you spend a day on guitar?
I don't know. I really haven't kept track.
Well, we're here for 12 hours a day. You say your schoolwork is complete in 30 minutes.
No, it takes 3 hours.
All right, fine. 3 hours, Mom says. She'll give you more credit for the. You know, ever since he's gotten the guitar thing.
Ever since you bought me like that, Jackson, I haven't stopped playing guitar.
He probably goes 5 to 7 hours a day of just playing and playing and playing. I mean, you heard him earlier. You know, he was telling you, "Hey, I got into learning how to play Led Zeppelin sucks." Good job. On there.
But yeah, I think the most I've ever spent on guitar, like actually like focusing, is probably a good 5-6 hours.
That's good. That's good.
And Hayley, you were saying you don't practice that much, huh? Is that what you were
when
saying?
I was your age, William, I was learning not before Screeching Weasel, I was learning all the Led Zeppelin songs. I was learning, you like Led Zeppelin, right, William?
A little bit.
Be honest. Don't worry.
Don't be embarrassed.
There's only like a few songs I do like by Led Zeppelin. It's not a favorite band of mine.
So my first guitar teacher was this hippie guy who had like those long fingernails that he could finger pick with, and he taught me like Over the Hills and Far Away and Stone songs and things, and he thought I was going to be this little folky girl, and I did all that stuff, and I did enjoy it to an extent, but then I started bringing in the Screeching Weasel songs and the Ramones songs and the all that stuff, and he was like, "Oh man." But I remember not liking practicing that much. I don't know, William, do you like to practice? Do you like to like learn new stuff and practice scales and stuff, like, or do you write your own music?
I've been trying to write my own music. Cool. I do have a couple of scratches and that I have been practicing a lot.
Cool.
I think
and I've been practicing scales, and mainly just in general, I'd like to go out and just turn the guitar on and play some Metallica or Pink Floyd or, Screeching Weasel, and just throw Lillingtons and throw out a lot of covers and that.
Miggs has got this, he made a post the other day. He's like, if I give you the like music, can you, or do you want to participate in writing lyrics to it? So we got sent a little thing that a couple other people, Grim just got done recording his and posting it. I think this morning Grim posted his. So I showed William, I'm like, here, this is what we got to do. You got to write the song guitar, and I'll come up with the lyrics for you, and we'll do the father and son deal on there. So that'll be our moment for quarantine, is doing a song together.
You guys are so cool. Can you be my dad?
If you hang out at the records for long enough, you'll become part of the family.
I love it. You guys are the best.
I don't know if I answered this before, Hayley. You live with your bass player, your husband. Do you have to figure out how to separate like band time and husband-wife time? Is that something you had to work on, or did it come natural for you guys?
Oh, John, it's like, how much time do we have? Charging by the hour for therapy. Like, so we were bandmates before we were together, and so it's so lovely. I love writing music with him, but I also we want to kill each other a lot. And so, yes, to answer your question, but luckily I'm kind of a night owl and he's a morning person. So if I'm kind of tinkering around at night with my headphones on, working on something on GarageBand, and in the morning he's working on his demos. So it works out that way in terms of just very practical, like living with somebody, and we both have creative ideas. This is the first album, Vintage Millennial, this last album, where we actually collaborated. I feel like we collaborated without making each other crazy. And I think it's just been a long time of learning how we work and knowing I work this way, you work that way. And I think that's the main thing, because sometimes people think, oh, you're married and you're in a band, you must really just sit together. It's all, you know, groovy, and everyone just like, you know, you just meld together and a song comes out. And it's like, oh gosh, it's so not like that. And but I wouldn't have it any other way. And we're still working on it. But I'm so glad. I can't imagine like being married to somebody who wasn't as obsessed with making music and making art. I think it would probably drive me even crazier. So we make it work.
Yeah, you two always look like you're having so much fun in the videos that I see of you guys, and the pictures of you guys on tour. It's always great to see your pictures when they show up on Facebook or Instagram.
Thanks. But I have to tell everyone out there on the internet, like, I don't post the pictures where we're in the van and it's snowing and it's a freak snowstorm and like my socks are frozen solid overnight. And I'm like, ah! And he's like, let's go to McDonald's because there's Wi-Fi there. And I'm like, I don't want to have another Egg McMuffin. Like, I never post that stuff, obviously. Like, we do have a lot of fun together. But I had to tell my mom the other day because she's like, oh, everything's fine with you. And I'm like, oh, I don't post like the crazy, you know, our lifestyle does kind of lead us to burnout. And so I still need like to be real and all that. But yeah, we do have kind of a fun, we built our lives so that we can travel. So again, ironic, right? But you know, I think we'll be able
that's
to.
That's what I'm saying. These things are kind of hard on musicians, and it's hard to, sometimes it's hard to feel bad for artists because a lot of people go, oh, you lived a life like that. It's like, no, there's a lot of work involved. And then we're hit pretty hard with this too, you know, financially and just, creatively. So we're in the same position as everybody else.
Yeah.
It's with my wife and I being here at the store, I mean, it's Siren Records is my wife's store. I'm just like a fixture in the store per se, but you know, so going to work every day with your spouse, coming home every day with your spouse, having your two kids with you every day, especially now, school is a break. So, you know, people don't kind of see when the doors close that you need your space, you need your downtime, you need to just, there's moments where we all love going to the shows together as a family, but other times it's just like, God, you know, you just need a break.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
I'm curious, do people, when they come in, do they assume it's your store or do they assume it's hers? Or like, is that ever weird for her?
I'm just a pretty face sitting at the front of the store.
You know, it's unfortunately, you know, because she's working the register and, you know, I do a lot of the audio and work with repairs and do a lot of one-on-one with customers. You know, she's got her customers that come to her that dedicate their time with her. I've got my customers I dedicate time with. But it's always funny when somebody's like, gives her a hassle at the register. And she's like, well, I want to talk to the owner. Well, my name's on the business license, so it is what it is, buddy. You know, and it's, I always have to tell people too, they're like, you're the owner? No, the owner's up front. That's her. That's the one. I am just somebody that's here all the time. But she never gets credit. And to me, it's upsetting because she puts just as much time in the business as I do. And at the end of the day, this was made for her. She was a stay-at-home mom. And we decided, hey, we'll do records. And this is where our 7 years later with a store going to town. But it's her store. So there's times I wish people would recognize that it belongs to Jenny. I'm just here.
Well said.
Well, now the stream world knows, so maybe they'll appreciate her a little bit more.
Yeah,
I know she helps out. She does a lot of the promotion for our stream. I mean, I try to do my own promotion because I'm the only one who will do it in many cases. But she's been really good with promoting it. And that's actually one of your things too, Hayley. You really push yourself. I don't know if it takes its toll on you, but you really put your stuff out there through the web pages and constantly some sort of, if it's not Instagram or Facebook or something out there.
Yeah.
You're pretty powerhouse when it comes to that.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah.
I attribute that to two things. One, having no shame. Just kidding. My parents are both marketers and freelance marketers, and for Mattel, for Barbie. And so growing up, they were always doing that kind of work. And I think I just saw it as like honest work. And I think the other part is somebody once told me, this is probably in that some book, but it's some marketing book, but it's like, you can, what is it? Now I'm going to forget it. It's like you can only sell, you're selling yourself first. And if you don't love the product, if you're not selling yourself like pretty good, you know what I mean? Then who's going to sell it for you? And so I'm saying that wrong. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Like, you're going to be you're going to be the most stoked on what you're doing. So you should be the one to be pushing it, even if it makes you feel dumb, and it does, then it's just, that's how it has to be in this brave new world. So if you aren't proud of your product, you're not proud of what you're doing, then maybe you need to like take a step back. If you're too scared to promote it, then you probably are having a little bit of a crisis of faith in yourself. And that needs to be
Which is interesting. I've noticed too in the punk scene is mostly what I'm a part of, but I've always loved listening to my own music, and people can have a weird reaction to that. Like we're not supposed to be listening to our own music. Why would I do it if I didn't want to be, listening to it?
I'm curious.
I just thought that was odd.
Can you tell me more about that? Are you saying like you listen to it years after the fact, or like right away after it? Like,
well, I obsessively listen to it to learn what to do next in mixing and in writing. But then I just sit down and enjoy it. And I talk to a lot of other like punk musicians who are like, oh, once I'm done with it, I never want to hear it again. I'm not like that. I listen to all the stuff that I've done.
Do you pour yourself a glass of coffee and sit and just listen to it from start to finish?
Since I do try to write concept albums, I do try to sit and listen to the whole flow of it to figure out what sticks out and what doesn't, and what I can do different. But sometimes I'll just be sitting on the internet and I'll go, I want to hear this Even in Blackout song. Or,
I want to get that. I think you are more zen than me, and I think I'm more neurotic. So I think that is a great idea that people should do that. What I do is if I hear an album on Spotify, I'm like, oh my God, like Josie Cotton or something, and I'm listening to the production, I go, I wonder what our production sounds like. How does our kick drum sound compared to this band? I like how this kick drum sounds. Let's put on this song of mine, and because I want to constantly learn about the production side and knowing. I mean, you have to communicate what you want to the sound engineer to get what you want, and a lot of times my issue was like I didn't know how to say that. So sometimes I like to kind of compare songs, not in a competitive way, but just like,
No, I think you have to. I mean, in order to be inspired by something, you want to sort of tear it apart a little bit and try to see how the wires are put together.
What's
your imitate
it
yourself?
So, what's your is there any cover song that you like to play?
Well, this is like a controversial one on the new album. On Vintage Millennial, it's Los Angeles by one of my favorite bands, X, who has a new album out today, actually. They haven't had a new album out in many years. You guys probably know already. And if you know the song Los Angeles, there's the N-word and some other derogatory things about gay people, but it's supposed to be tongue-in-cheek, and it's not, in our PC culture now, it's like, it's really not the best song to cover. But we went to the studio very like, oh yeah, like we'll cover this, no big deal. And once we finished the song, I was like, oh man, like I have to change some of these lyrics for like the day and age we're in. And some people are giving me flack for that. They're like, oh man, that's not punk. You should have just like kept the lyrics the way they were. And it is what it is. But whenever we play that song, no one ever notices it live. Nobody notices the lyric change at all. They just know that riff, that ding, 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 and they go crazy. Yeah. And it's so fun to see everybody just get into it. And so I love playing Los Angeles. It's one of those, I think it's one of those punk songs that kind of transcends, if you're into hardcore, LA punk, or you're in Chicago pop punk, or you're into surfy, like whatever it is, rockabilly. It kind of transcends all these genres in a way. And I think maybe that's why. Because when we play Go-Go's covers, sometimes people are like, wait, I think I know this, but I'm not sure. It's like too like niche or something. So to answer your question. Great question. Thank you.
Yeah.
He's actually got a little list.
Yeah, I have a. So uh,
Cool.
when you were in high school, did you ever play in a band?
Yeah, I did. When I was 16, my parents divorced and I was very crazy. And I basically only went to school my junior year because there were these cool punk chicks that I looked up to. And I was hoping that we would all become a gang. And they totally were like, hey, be in my band. And I couldn't believe it. I was so excited. This was at Redondo Union High School in Southern California. And we were called Ballroom Burlesque. So we thought, we were thinking like Ballroom Blitz, you know that song? Like, we were thinking like sexy burlesque, but like, you know, ballroom. Like, I don't know what we were thinking, but we were just wild. And we played our first show at like a teen center down there and with all these crazy bands and punk bands. And we played a lot of backyard shows. I remember like a lot of just like Mexican grandmas making tacos and stuff. And like, basically like, because the Southern California culture at the time was just very like chill and welcoming. And like, there was definitely some sketchy situations we got ourselves into as like 16, 17-year-old girls in a band. But for the most part, it was just like fun, cozy backyard shows, like everyone kind of hanging out on couches outside. Like, I just remember it being like, I just remember thinking like, I want to do this forever. This is so fun. But of course, you know, teenage bands don't last forever. So I hope you will have many teenage bands and high school bands when you graduate. I know I graduated, so I hope you get to do that.
Speaking of which, Bill, William, tell us a little bit about that little thing, that little picture.
So I'm an 8th grader at Hannah Beardsley Middle School in Crystal Lake. And it was a fun year. Kind of bummed that I wasn't able to, you know, graduate and get my diploma and all of that, but
Well, you're graduating, you're going into high school, you're not being held back. Just due to circumstances, there's no longer school except for e-learning. So this is Matt Eby from Eby Graphics put these together. And this is just one way for us to give him a graduation, putting it out in the yard. Maybe people drive by, wave, honk, whatever.
so thank you, Matt.
Cool. Congratulations, William. We're all proud of you. I'm glad I know you now. Yeah.
There. This kid's
That's
going to
cool.
go far in high school because he's going to go in there and he's going to be like, you know what? I got to talk to Jughead about this. I've been hanging out with him, doing all this stuff. The kid's wearing a Sex Pistols jacket. William's going to call him out and be like, dude, that's just some bullshit. Not gonna, you know.
Attitude. I like it.
You know, it's. I think with him growing up, and you've been doing what shows since you were 12 now?
I think so. I've been the very first show, like my actual venue show I went to was the Metro.
Right, 88 Fingers and Lillingtons and Evil Engine, but he's got to mosh, he's got to crowd surf, he's got to be on stage, he's gotten to F-bomb everybody, he's gotten to do the middle finger pictures with, you know, people, and you know, it's like you can let him loose, you know, you can be like, all right, well, he did everything that most parents are afraid your kids are going to do when they go to a concert, except for the recreational aspect of it. Or, you know, he's not going to lose control. He's going to be like, dude, I don't want to go in that pit. This is stupid today. You know, it's just...
I know when to go in the pit and when not to go in the pit.
I think,
you know,
so I think that helps because he's already gotten all that out of him. You know, he's learning more of the class, you know, how to look out for each other. He's not learning that at 16. He's learned that at 12.
That's pretty cool.
I'm sure he'll still throw you a couple curves now and then, Bill.
Yeah.
Well, but I've caught him on everything that he's done, so he's still smarter than the old man.
I mean, you might be setting him up to become sort of like a priest or something. I don't know. Like, you know, you're making him very rock and roll and very cool now. The kids always do the opposite. Like my sister, as a rebellion against my parents who were very atheist, she got baptized to piss them off. It's just like so funny to me. Like that was like her way of like rebelling. Like it was the opposite. That, you know,
Yeah, it's my dad wanted me to be a priest, and then that didn't happen. No,
That's funny. We brought that up last week, didn't we, Bill? That's interesting that came
yeah.
up again. Yeah.
I encourage whatever they want to do on there. If he wants to learn how to do stuff, there's MacGyver. He's an expert with fertilizer, and he can make his own choices. I think at this point, he's already has his girlfriends, his girl experiences. Hell, dude, you broke up with your girlfriend at a Lillington show and left her in the parking lot already.
Sandwich Fest.
At Sandwich Fest.
That's cold.
Oh boy, William.
So
that's what I'm saying. The good and the bad is still in us, no matter what.
Right.
Also, I hear Kate Vogel in here has said priests can be punk, and I agree. Actually, I told this. I think did I tell the story about how I was always impressed with Alice Cooper or Vincent Furnier's history, where his father is a priest, and I don't know. A lot of people think, oh, he must have had such a conflict with him, and his actually turned out his father was one of his biggest supporters growing up. A lot of the neighbors had trouble with him. Are you worried about having your kid being so rebellious and you're a priest? And he's like, no, he's doing his he's doing his thing. So priests can be punk, Kate. So you are right.
That's right.
And that's from another atheist, Hayley, saying that. So
yeah,
I do appreciate some of the pure ways of the Christians if they actually follow the actual guidelines. But
being raised without religion, I think, was a kind of, it's like, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. You raise your kid without religion and they want some faith. And it's just, I totally wanted to go to Christian camp, and my parents didn't want me to go. All my friends went. And on the way up there, I got to go. I got to watch that Veggie Tales, which is all these Christian like fruits and vegetables in the van. And I remember thinking, wow, Christians, this is fun. This is cool. But then it all kind of ended with them kind of like with their pitchforks at the end of the night being like, you need to accept Jesus in your heart. And I remember like crying and thinking like, wow, religion is so much more complicated than I thought. And now that I'm older, I kind of feel like I am so much more spiritual now than I ever, thought I would ever be. And I'm so glad that I have some sort of weird faith I've cobbled together, but I think it's important to have something to believe in.
Yeah, I think it's being accepted a little bit more that the atheists can have some sort of spirituality or some sort of, I don't know, awe. I think that a lot of people think the idea of awe is missed, and a lot of the modern atheists are sort of fighting that idea that an atheist means you're dry and don't have any sort of, I don't know, passion towards the unknown. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what were you going to say there, Bill? Yeah, go ahead.
Do you guys remember, or did you read the book Z for Zachariah? Did you ever read that back growing up or anything?
No, I bought that for my mom, but I don't, because that person wrote another book that was pretty popular. I can't remember. I think Joseph or something like that. But go ahead, go Bill.
So when I read that, there is it kind of put in perspective that whole heaven and hell kind of thing, where while I was baptized Catholic but not practicing Catholic, so I think at any time somebody's remembered in good spirits with happiness, like remember the show where this occurred and people start laughing and smiling about you, is a good definition of a person's heaven. Whereas if you've done something horrible, you're always remembered as being this evil person, which is the hell, because you can never get out of that. You can't say, well, even though Gacy killed a bunch of people, he wasn't that bad of a guy. He was, you're just never going to overcome what you've done, in those regards. So I've kind of told William and Cooper and them, like, dude, just be a good person, work with people, trust, respect, and if something does happen to you, you're always going to remember it in a positive way. And I think that's how we teach religion in our family.
That's awesome.
So there's no everything else going with it. Hell, my dad had holy water all over the damn house, and you'd go downstairs, it'd be the big fucking picture of Jesus right there, and then you go in the other room and there's Mary, and then you get out of bed, you'd feel like you're just sitting. So I just, I can't deal with that no more. I think, everybody should believe in something. Doesn't mean that you're a horrible person or not. Just, what did Kate write? Don't be Gacy,
Yeah, that's true. That's a good slogan to live by.
Yeah, just don't.
He actually was. He grew up. He was in Vapid's neighborhood. Vapid was my friend Vapid and Paul Russell, who does the Weasel logo, were like down the street, neighbors from Gacy. Pretty crazy. And my best friend's father was in charge of the whole case. He was the chief of police there, so
yes,
definitely affected our lives quite a bit in the northwest suburbs there. So yeah, don't be Gacy. Don't even be a clown.
Right. Like, I wonder if you can see this. I don't know. Can you see here? Go over there to like Mariah Carey and Doyle and
go. How often do you hear that? Go over there to Mariah Carey.
Right.
Mariah Carey, I love you.
So there you go. You can have your Misfit Dolls with a Mariah Carey album.
Oh yeah. Mariah Carey, I stole that CD from my sister, my older sister, when I was like 7. And there were some good jams on there.
That's a great album. I think I was talking to Migs about this. She wrote 18 of her 19 hits.
Yeah, she wrote her own stuff. Yeah. Yeah, is that Dream Lover? Is that what it was? Hero. Dream Lover, come rescue you. Take me. That one.
Yes.
I don't really remember. It's one of those albums that, like, if my sister hadn't had it in my orbit, I wouldn't have ever experienced it. So, but it'll forever be. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't have that influence in my house at all. My family was all pretty deep cuts sort of musical people. Like my sister was deep cuts into heavy metal. My older brother was deep cuts into classic rock, and I was deep cuts into Jersey City like garage music. So
really,
yeah. My older sister was in a disco for a while, but then she didn't she was the only one that it wasn't as into music as the rest of us.
Do you still like garage music? Do you like lo-fi music?
I don't really. I don't know. I had a hard time, like in the '90s, with bands that were trying to purposely sound lo-fi.
Yeah.
Because I thought it was denying of what's out there. I don't have that opinion as much anymore, but I don't. I like lo-fi music that was done during that time that was lo-fi. But I really like being in the studio, so I really do try to. So I appreciate music that appreciates being in the studio, like a Queen, like. Wow, to do the stuff that they were doing in the '70s, like now it's even difficult. But what they were doing.
Crazy.
Yeah.
What do you guys say about lo-fi?
So I kind of go back a little bit and try to hold on, Coop. Coop wants to get on. Can he jump on real quick? I'm getting the evil eye.
Coop. Yeah, some people now every day people ask for Coop, so let's get
take off the jacket. Because he's 10 years old.
He's wearing a better shirt than me.
And look at that, 10 years old. He's got Misfits on. I was being made fun of the other day because I said like Danzig and Samhain and Misfits, and I threw Ivy in there.
Thanks, Jeff.
Hey, Coop! I saw that picture online the other day of you at in the back, not the backstage, but above the stage in the Lillington show. That was pretty cool.
Oh yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah,
that was when the mosh pit was getting a little too rough, and Mom and Dad didn't want me or William getting severely hurt.
Yeah.
So that's why we were on like the stage. But yeah.
That was actually that was at their Frequency, and that was the last night that place was open. So it was like Make War, Lillingtons, and I forgot the other band that played that night. So they got to scratch the frequency off the list right away out in Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Not Milwaukee.
Was it in St. Louis? Yeah, Wisconsin.
I'm trying to. Man, I'm horrible with like remembering this shit. It's where Cody used to live too.
I know we've gone to.
But any which way. So the lo-fi question. I do like some
Bye.
of our
Goodbye,
some
Coop.
of the like high school bands and that are trying to recreate some of that sound. I think it's people try to overachieve it. You know, when you listen to something, and you're like, wow, that was fantastic. I mean, kind of like the surf rock, getting into, I want to call it more the California sound than the Chicago sound.
Yeah.
On there. And then when you hear somebody like out in the Midwest, like performing that, you know, you're just like, wow, where are the palm trees at and the sandy beaches? And, you know, where's this even coming
Madison,
from?
Wisconsin.
Madison, Wisconsin. Thank you, Paul. Madison. I've been judging one of the judges at Battle Bands in McHenry now for like 3 or 4 years in a row now.
Yeah.
And
3
years. It's cool watching these kids come out there. There's kids that absolutely cannot play guitar, that try to play guitar, that have just this huge distortion mess going on, and it works for them, and you're like, that's fucking killer. You know?
I know the one year you guys went, there was one cover that played Ghost.
That was the teachers.
Or yeah.
Staph infection.
Whatever.
Which is the coolest thing when you get a bunch of teachers together and they start covering a whole bunch of stuff. Even like the school superintendents out there jamming away and singing stuff. So, it's just, my friend Keith, he's always, you know, asking, you know, do you got any lo-fi? And I think really people just need to go back to, you know, getting into like 7-inch stuff where bands could record 2-3 minutes of something and then call it a day and wash it. That's kind of where I'm at with it. If any of that made sense.
I've always had mixed feelings about it. I think the digital age has actually sort of brought us back to the acceptance of 7 inches, because people seem to be releasing just songs instead of records, whereas my mindset, whether good and bad, are both implanted in concept records. Even in punk, when that was like almost like a swear word, Ben and I still sort of carry that idea of concept records. So I'm still really stuck to the idea of a grouping of songs.
Yeah.
But it really started with just the releasing one song at a time.
Yeah. And now the algorithm, for better or worse, really does prefer when you drop, you know, content constantly and song after song instead of an album. It is a little sad. It's a little schizophrenic, you know. It's like you're trying to pay attention to a band and they're dropping one single a month. We're guilty of that. And then you're trying to concentrate on that. Then, you know, you get the album and it's like you kind of already experienced all of the album. But it's weird. That's just what the algorithm is hungry and it wants you to do that. But we are putting out a 7-inch, 2-song 7-inch in June. Just saying. Coming up on Rita Records and Surfin' Kai in Italy. So we're doing a couple.
Here's a question, an actual question from someone named Ralph. So Hayley, my biggest bummer from all these shows getting canceled is this. The Go-Go's were going to play my home base, the Stone Pony in Asbury Park, New Jersey, on my birthday, July 5th. Any shows you guys are upset about being canceled? I imagine all of them, but are there any in particular, Hayley, that already have been canceled?
Let me just say, my condolences. I've never seen the Go-Go's, and I know that they're planning this huge tour, and they sound great. They're getting along. They have the cutest merch right now, you guys. Go to their merch store. The Go-Go's new T-shirts. They're like the old it's like a retro version of like the Vacation. They have the cutest merch right now. I would love to see them. I'm sorry, that sucks. But yeah, I'm kind of pissed because even if Punk Rock Randuno in Italy does continue, which I have no comment on that. Of course, we don't know, but even if it does, I mean, we've lost a lot of income. So I'm sitting in an Airbnb in our house that we built to like have guests here to like have income when we're on the road, and like all those guests are gone. You know, like Reed's construction jobs have really dried up and all that. And so even if we could go financially, now we're kind of thinking like, I don't know if that's going to happen. So I'm pretty bummed about Europe. We had some shows in Germany and in Brussels, in Belgium. And so, I mean, I really want to go to Europe and play Europe. And so, I mean, all those shows I'm really sad about, but there's not one show. I think it's just in general, putting out an album in January and feeling like we could tour in the spring felt like a natural thing. And the fact that that's not happening feels so weird. It's like we had this little baby and then it's like we don't get to see it walk. And so kind of just bummed about all of it. But hey, if it was the Go-Go's, if I was opening for the Go-Go's, I would like be crying my eyes out if I wasn't able to do that. So I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, playing a big show, I'm not a musician, so I don't, I haven't been on stage outlooking thousands of people and all that stuff. But every once in a while, I do get on stage to make an announcement that the band's coming on. It's kind of cool looking at people that way. So it's with all these big venues closing and not closing, but not putting on shows or anything. Would you still like to perform like in smaller places to shoot your videos, to just do smaller shows and kind of continue that for the year? Or you're just like, well, if I can't really do this, I don't want to do that.
We play small venues.
I was going to say that. Yeah.
No, but
they're just like, oh my God, like, yeah, we're not that big. We're not that big. I mean,
no, I'm not.
Yeah, we play small venues. My favorite show. Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, what I'm saying is, like, if you're around 50 to 100 people, and now have the opportunity to be in front of 2,500 people, it's just, and you're missing out on that 2,500. Is that going to affect you still wanting to play in front of 50 and 100?
No.
And not saying,
No. I mean, I play for a blank wall, so it really doesn't factor in at all for me.
Okay.
There was another one of those punk things I remember growing up in this scene where people were like, even I did it for a while. I hate it. I don't like that I did this, but look at older musicians who are still doing it. And you're like, get over it, just, crawl into your grave. And I pretty quickly got out of that. It's like, no, because I realized I loved playing music. And it's like, why would I want someone to stop doing that? It's just.
That's going to be
so what I'm saying is if you get really big, and then I know it's going to be hard to go to like small venues if that happened to be really big and then small. And it happened to me on some degree. But like I told Jim Testa last week, when I went and did Even a Black House and there were 2 people in the audience instead of like a couple hundred with Weasel, I was like, this is kind of cool in a way. It's like starting over. I have to prove myself again. So there's something I really appreciate about small shows that I can't get in like large venues.
Have you?
I don't think I would ever stop playing small venues if I had like a larger band.
Have you fallen out of love with a band before because they didn't go back to the small venue route and just wanted to stay stadium style, per se?
No, I started out going to stadium shows, and I don't have any grievance against bands doing that. And I kind of stopped going to concerts when I was pretty young.
I'm not saying like the fan, but the artists themselves. Like if somebody spent 5 years touring, say 400, 500 and below venues capacity wise, and then got a taste of stadium in front of 25,000 and then just refused to ever play anything small again. Do you have bands that you used to like that were smaller that got big like that you wouldn't go see anymore? Because
I've seen. I base it more on attitude change. Like, I mean, there might be a circumstance where they're just not able to do that anymore. Like, I know even Green Day still tries to do small shows, but it's difficult once you get that big because the word gets out and people just go crazy and people get hurt. So, but it's more about attitude. If people are more like, I've met a couple band members that are like, oh, we've done this now, you haven't achieved this, and well, we can play the big venues, and I'm like, who the fuck cares, just enjoy playing it, I mean, congratulations. So it's more about the attitude to me. It doesn't have to do with just the action of playing only big venues or only small. Any word on that, Hayley?
I'm just sad that Motley Crue got big, I was in the Motley Crue when they were on the Sunset Strip. I'm just kidding. I've never even been to a stadium show. ever. I feel like I'm in the wrong era for that. It's just the shows now on stadium shows are like holograms and like crazy like theatrical dancers that are like doing like silk dancing and like people shooting. I'm like, oh God, I can't handle it. But no, I mean, none of the bands. I mean, I guess Green Day. I mean, Green Day is one of those bands I've always loved, and like I probably can never go see them now because even when they just played at like the Golden Bowl in Oakland, I think it was for New Year's Eve. I was like, oh my God, that's 3 hours away. Like, let's do it. The minute they announced it, it was like done. Like there was no way, like you said, like there's no way you're gonna get into that. But you know, I never got to see them anyways. So there's so many cool bands I never got to see.
Yeah.
You know,
hey, your husband's been speaking up in the chat room here, but so he wrote, "Fun people make fun shows, even if it's 10 people," and I agree. I think we even talked about that last week, Bill, too, about how I would. It was always a challenge to me and Ben and Screeching Weasel to make those small shows just as fun or even more fun. And if you try, they actually end up being like incredible. Like lots of fun.
We played a show at a library before all this stuff happened. We do like an annual summer or spring crush thing, summer crush. We did it in the spring this time, and we just take all these dumpstered materials and make all this, you know, crazy art set inspired by our friend Neil Breton, who does these beautiful pool paintings. We create like a fake pool setting for us to like play in front of. And this year we somehow finagled the SLO County Library to let us play, which was like so kinky because we could be so loud in the library. It was like so fun. And there were all these kids and balloons and like teachers came, and it was really like kid friendly, which was actually pretty punk because there's like little mosh pits and stuff. But this one guy got on stage, he was really drunk and he was wearing board shorts because we encouraged everyone to wear swimsuits. And he got on stage because we wanted to give him an award because we had like a costume contest. This was not a big event, by the way. It was like probably 60 people and like a third of them were children. And so he got on stage in his board shorts and his flip-flops and he started singing the God Bless America. Reed could probably say it was either God Bless America or the anthem. And I swear it was the funniest, funnest thing. It just like was so random. It made the show even quirkier and weirder. The kids were really like pissed at the guy. I thought the kids were going to turn on him. So he's just like, God bless America. And like there were kids throwing balloons everywhere and stuff. And I think it is like, it's really the stuff that goes wrong or like the stuff that's weird that I remember. And it's not the shows that are like everything went perfectly. And like, you know, so it really is like how the audience kind of participates, even if it is in a really weird, like scary manner.
Yeah, so, in Montana, I played, we're gonna have to wrap it up like in 5 minutes, but let me tell this one's my last story. In Montana, with Even and Blackouts, we played a kid zone, which was like one of those places where like you get pizza. It's like Chuck E. Cheese type of place. And we played right in front of the, you know, those habit trails, you know, that the humans can climb through that go like up really tall, like 2 stories. I, with my guitar, during a song, climbed all the way to the top, and my guitar fell off and smashed to pieces on the ground. It was pretty memorable. It was pretty great.
That's punk.
I don't think that Kid Zone will ever forget the time that Even the Blackouts played and smashed the guitar. So,
did you leave the guitar for them to keep and hang on the wall? And
actually, a kid picked up all the pieces, and he sent me a photo like a couple months later of them all on his wall. So he actually made art and put it on his wall.
That's awesome.
See, those are the moments. What you do, why you do what you do. Like, those are the moments.
Yeah. And it never would happen if I didn't play a Kid Zone.
Right.
In Wyoming or Montana, I can't remember where it was. But we always made sure to go to a lot of the towns that other people wouldn't go to. So that was kind of my thing.
That's cool.
So we got to wrap it up. Bill, William, you got anything to say for this week?
Well, you were going to ask a question before, weren't you?
Oh, let's have William ask one last question here. Then.
So when did you when did you decide to start Hayley and the Crushers? Sorry.
Just really short and to the point. When I decided I wanted to start singing the songs I was writing. So I was writing songs for a previous band that I wasn't singing. So I wanted to sing my own songs. And that was in 2015. And so I put my name on the project so I could have no excuse not to do it, which I think is good advice if you ever want to force yourself to be accountable for your songs. Just put your name on it. Then everyone knows it's your band. So if you suck, they know who to blame. So
was the jaywalking video in your living room, was that kind of like your demo then?
Yeah, that was one of the first songs I've ever written for this project, actually. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, I encourage the watchers to follow Hayley. She does many different things. She has her own podcast and a blog, and the band is pretty great. So thank you, Hayley, for being with us today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, William and Bill. I really appreciate being included, and this little bright spot in my day really gave me something to look forward to. So thank you.
Oh, cool. And I often tell people at the end here too, and the people listening, that we try to keep the stream, the comments live. So if you have a moment, Hayley, to visit and see if there's anything that we didn't answer, check out some people's comments or post some links there, some to some of your stuff. It's self-promotion is not a problem in our comments there. So
yeah, sure.
All right, everybody.
Yeah.
Here we are signing off. Thank you, everybody. Be safe. Take care of yourselves.
Take care.